Hey, this is Ryan Jones from Serverless Guru. In this video, we're going to be covering the core services that we're going to be using for this course. So for this first section, we're going to be covering how to build a REST API. So in this kind of whiteboard here, I'm going to show you kind of what this looks like. So the first, we actually create boxes. We're going to have a couple of interactions here. I draw a series of boxes. This first one, this would be our user. User makes a request. So for instance, post to slash create user. And then from there, it's going to go to something called API Gateway. So API Gateway, this is going to be kind of our headquarters for our REST API. So API Gateway will then intercept request and route to Lambda function. So then the Lambda function is then going to point to, or sorry, the API Gateway is then going to point to the Lambda function. And you can also think about a Lambda function as a cloud function. This is our backend and our compute. So that's kind of what these three things are. And then finally, we're going to have one more back here. So I'll add one more box. This box is our database. So back here, we're going to have DynamoDB. And this is our NoSQL database. So what's going to happen is that the request is then going to go to the Lambda function. The Lambda function is then going to go to the database. A new user is going to be created. It's going to go back to the Lambda function, back to API Gateway, and then back to the user. So if we add a description here, let's say API Gateway to the Lambda, and then Lambda Dynamo, this is going to say add new record to users table. And then up here, we're going to have send back success from database. If success, send back success response to user. So if you can tell, the big things to get from this is that API Gateway really doesn't do any of the logic or anything like that. All the logic is coming from our Lambda function. And then each one of these pieces are playing a role, but yeah, let's actually separate this because I think I can make this a little bit clearer. Let's say post slash create user. That way we have a full image of kind of like what's going on. So the user makes a request. And we have this here. And then let's copy some text from here. Create another text box. So I like using this aw app because it allows me to like kind of do my thoughts like we're kind of doing right now. We're kind of going through all this stuff on the fly, right? And then let's do 200 response. So 200 response means that everything went well. So we can do a 200 or potentially like a 500. And a 500, let's do 200. Good. 200, and then let's do bad 500 response. So then based on what response comes back, the status code is what this is called. The front end will then be able to define that. So let's say front end here. Basically, I've added in a couple of things here. This first block is our front end. This is when a user registers. The second block is API Gateway. This is what controls our REST API. And then the third block is our Lambda function, which is our backend logic. This is kind of like a server that's running. This is the serverless part. And then the fourth one is DynamoDB. So let's go ahead and grab this, kind of drag it up there. And DynamoDB is our NoSQL database. I'm just going to kind of move this around, do some editing real quick to make this clear. There we go, NoSQL database. So with this, we gotta get this full flow of what our app's gonna do. So let's go ahead and draw some lines here. So the first thing that happens is a user registers, which is then gonna trigger a post create user. And then API gateway is gonna get that request, and it's going to intercept it, and it's gonna route it to the Lambda function. And then the Lambda function is going to add a new record into the users table. And then DynamoDB, once it has that record saved, is then going to send back a success from the database. And then finally, the Lambda function is then going to intercept whether or not it was success or failure when it saves to the database. And if it is a success, it's going to send back a success response to the user, which means that it's then going to go back to API gateway, and then API gateway is then going to route it back to the front end. And if it's 200 status code, that means everything went well. 500 status code, that means something went bad. And then based on that, we can show an error to the user, or we can show a check mark. So that is the full flow of what we're going to be working on. What I would recommend is go ahead and take a screenshot of this, and I'll go ahead and do that as well. And this will be something that will be good to kind of, as we're going through this full course, so you can kind of see from a high level like what we're actually building. All right, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks so much.